Mike, turn your games down.
Hi, welcome to our TV episode of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, and who's losing their mind with me tonight?
I am Joe Butler, and I promise to protect all the travelers of the night.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kenneth Sanity, and so am I, and so am I.
I'm Bill Tucker from The Gamer Looks at 40, and I'm talking to you through dead people right now. So what?
I'm Zach from Absolutely the Best Podcast, a work in progress. And oi, bruv, me accent is bollocks.
And Ken, what are we here to talk about? 'Cause this is completely your pick.
Yes, this is completely my pick, and so thankful you finally listened to me. Today, we are talking about the much maligned Disney Plus Marvel television series, Moon Knight, as showrun by Jeremy Slater. And
2022.
Yeah, 2022. I think this was the last one that came out too, wasn't it? No, yep. Loki season 2.
There's a few. I can't remember if this is the end of phase 4, but no, there's been a few shows that have come out since this.
Yeah, didn't the She-Hulk come out?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I remember that.
I was gonna make a joke that this technically came out like peak end of COVID, and that's also why I don't think it did well, is because everyone's already going back to work and couldn't watch it.
That's fair.
Yeah,
that could well be.
No, there's been a few shows that have come out since Moon Knight, like Phase 4 and Phase 5. They're just now slowing down, but even then, we've had multiple ones come out and just they're forgettable.
She-Hulk, The Invader Show.
That one was bad. She-Hulk's good. But, yeah, Secret Invasion.
We had Miss Marvel.
All about Secret Invasion.
And She-Hulk in Phase 4.
Miss Marvel.
Oh, yeah, Miss Marvel, which I need to cover. I did She-Hulk.
To be fair, a lot of those were actually all pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know why we're fucking talking shit. I think the only bad one was like Secret Invasion.
Yeah, that's it. I agree. That was the only one.
I haven't watched it.
Well,
don't.
It's totally forgettable. You get nothing out of it.
They did something in like the first episode, and I was like, nope, can't watch this anymore. Too pissed.
God, we had Secret Invasion, Loki, What If, Season 2, Echo, and we're about to get Agatha all along.
Oh, I forgot about Echo too. Some bitch.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So did they.
Oh, yeah. Fair.
They dropped it all at once out of nowhere. They're like, here, have it. We're done. Fiscal year's over.
I gotta watch it because D'Onofrio's back.
I'll get to it someday.
Did they drop it all at once?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
They did. Even though they haven't been doing that. They didn't do it with Loki or Secret Invasion, but they did it with that. So,
Oh, they knew.
Yes. I mean, so what I want to start with is like our memories of, or what our history is with Moon Knight as a character and this show. So I'll go first because I'm talking. I know very little about the character, just that he looked cool. He was in Marvel Ultimate Alliance, I think. And I have the first appearance of Mark Spector above my head because it was cheap and I picked it up because it was Moon Knight #1. And I watched the show once and it made absolutely no sense in 2022 and I did not go back till this week. And Joe.
I don't know a lot about Moon Knight except for the pictures they make of him where they're memes. For instance, where he throws a bunch of those little things and he goes random bullshit go. Yeah, I do know what this run is based off of. I kind of want to read it. Rewatching this, after rewatching this, I want to read it of what this is supposed to be based off, because I don't think he always suffers from split personality, but I know the one where they're going with this one apparently is really, really, really good. And I watched this day to day when it first came out, and I had tons of fun with it. And it's very refreshing to see a Marvel TV show that's, you know, not teasing other heroes or teasing, what was it, his name, fucking, for Loki.
Remember, I didn't watch Loki.
Yeah, the bad guy that they keep trying to bring up.
Oh, Kang?
The Conqueror?
Yeah.
Kang, yeah.
Yeah, it's so nice not to have anything to do with Kang or something with Tony Stark, and it was genuinely a good, fun TV show, and I enjoyed pretty much all of it.
Okay. And Bill.
I have absolutely no history with this property whatsoever. I did not know what a Moon Knight was until I saw trailers for it. This is one of those ones I was very interested in, but just like you said, it was peak past, COVID, right? 2022. And I was probably leaving the house more freely, able to breathe air, that whole thing. And I saw it, and I basically said to myself, like I've done for most of this phase, when Mike makes me watch it, I'll watch it. And that is exactly what happened. I am a big fan of Oscar Isaac. I adore him as an actor. I've seen a lot of the stuff he's been in. And so I guess I could call myself an Oscar Isaac fan. And I was pleasantly surprised how much I really enjoyed this very, very strange, very weird Marvel property. It's nice. This is kind of the example of what Marvel can do with its powers. You just do weird stuff like this that nobody likes except me and Ken. That's what I want. I just want weird nonsense from when Marvel stretches themselves and says, "Hey, let's try something new and different." Usually good things happen. And this is an example of that for me. I love this so much. I really dug this. I dug everything about it.
And Joe liked this too. Don't include Joe. I love this fucking shit.
Right on.
And Zach.
I'm a big MCU guy and almost not a comic guy at all. So I didn't know anything about Moon Knight before the show came out. I waited for all the episodes to be released, and then I watched it shortly thereafter, so in like 2022 or whatever. And then rewatched it for this. And as I was rewatching it, I kind of remembered having the same experience where I really, really dug the first 2 episodes. And then I got less and less interested in it as the episodes went on. I feel like the last 4 probably could have been condensed down to 2 and it would have been better for it.
Fair.
But overall, I mean, I think it's a good show. It just didn't keep my interest. And like Mike, I was kind of confused, especially at the end.
And Mr. Ken.
I fucks with Moon Knight. I've been a Moon Knight fan for a long time. Big comic fan. I always made sure to play him in the Marvel Ultimate Alliance games, in Marvel Heroes. Y'all remember that? That was fun. Like, any chance I can play as Moon Knight, I always do. I love Moon Knight, and I have for a long time. So when this show came out, it was pretty much just right up my alley. And thank God we have memes, because Moon Knight prowling the halls saying, "I know you're here, Dracula, you big fucking nerd. Where's my goddamn money?" brought a lot of eyes to Moon Knight that were never there before.
It's another good one, yeah.
Yeah. He is kind of a forgotten character.
Yeah. And the show tried to work that in its favor, and I think they did. But we'll cover that as we go on.
I mean, the show's fun. I don't have a problem with it. It's just a strange show. I mean, I do like that it takes place in different areas. It takes place in Europe and Egypt, something that we haven't really had in the MCU. We haven't had a lot of like globetrotting stuff or things that weren't somehow involved in America or fictional countries.
Ah, yes. Good old Egypt, better known as Budapest for filming purposes.
I mean,
Yeah.
It's nice to have that. And it's nice. I mean, the show is also doesn't feel connected to the MCU at all. And I'm saying that as a positive.
And see, I think that was a negative for a lot of people.
I kind of view the TV shows as being pretty much separate anyway. Obviously, Falcon and Winter Soldier is not. WandaVision is not. But, you know, I don't know. I don't expect them to tie in.
They don't, and not everything has to tie into this beautiful little. Oh, I'm sorry. You cut out for a second, I think.
Sorry, no, I was agreeing with you. Sorry.
Oh, no worries. So yeah, I was just saying, not everything has to tie into this overarching meta universe that we all live in. We can go back to simpler times when a story can just be a story and be really interesting and cool. And I think we would be remiss if we went forward without talking about the lead actor, which is really this is an Oscar Isaac doing acting seminar.
Yes.
Really, let's be honest here. He is the primary weight puller of this movie show. Although everyone I think is very good in it, he is extraordinarily good in this, and an actor I love. If you have not seen Oscar Isaac outside of the Star Wars franchise, you really should. I would recommend starting with the wonderful and underrated Inside Llewyn Davis, and then just work your way up through there.
Ex Machina.
Because Ex Machina, he is phenomenal in Ex Machina. He's actually really good in that gangster movie thing he did that one other person saw. I guess there you are. Hi. Hi, other person who saw Undercover something. I forget what the name of it was, but I saw it because he was in it. Yeah, he's phenomenal in this. He's a great actor, and I'm glad he got an opportunity to really stretch his range. And in interviews I've read after watching this, he's not really he's like a wait and see kind of thing. Like if the story's good, he'll do another one. If it stinks, he won't. And I love that about him. So I'm a big Oscar Isaac fan, and I'm glad to see him really get a chance to showcase his talents.
The babies I would sacrifice to get an open mouth kiss from Oscar Isaac is an unbelievable number.
He is great in this. He makes the show work. Like, not every actor could do what he's doing to play off yourself like that and to be convincing and to, as a drop of hat, change your accent and change the character that you're playing, but you're the same character. Not everyone can do that.
Well, I mean, he's playing off of his brother.
Yeah, but you don't know that at first.
I know that.
And
But no, he had his brother standing in, so he wasn't just doing this green screen thing.
Oh, okay. Never mind. I thought you were talking about the brother in the show.
Oh, no. Oscar Isaac was playing off his real life brother.
That's cool.
That is cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's better than some green screen trickery bullshit.
Yes,
because
that's what I thought it was.
And then the main important part, which I need to make this joke before we continue onward. So, Mike, did you enjoy the adventures of Mark Spector and his nobody, Stephen Grant?
I hate you, Joe.
Because
that's all I could think of the whole time I was watching. Like, oh, that's Sora, that's Roxas.
And if you want an easily explanation, Jake Lockley is Vanitas.
I hate you.
none of those goddamn names mean a fucking thing.
Okay.
Mark Floor.
They will to someone out there. And then they'll message me on Discord and tell me I'm a genius.
No, I mean, that is unfortunately what I kept thinking about was all Kingdom Hearts and how that fits in, and I didn't like that at all. But that's not the show's fault. That's Joe's fault.
It's my fault.
Because it did go through my head completely while watching the show. Also, this is a show that I think we brought it up in the chat, but this is something that is better watched binge than it is watched week to week because it just flows better.
I agree with that.
Because it's really just one continuous thing, like many shows are, but it just it goes places and it does some weird things that it works better if you're watching it all at once versus if you were watching it week to week. You're going to forget things and not catch some of the small nuances it does.
Oh man, but those hypes during those weeks though, like the end of the first episode with the suit reveal was just like everyone was just having a fucking panic attack online. It was so great.
Well, I mean,
loved it.
That makes TV better. Like you want to do that so that way a show can have more hype, can have more people watching it and do better, so we get more. Because if you drop it all at once, it just doesn't. It won't get the hype it needs to get a second season or more. It will just die on the vine, and it sucks because people need to talk about it. So I think it's. I mean, so I'm glad that it was released that way, but I'm glad that 2 years later we're able to watch it differently.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I like the fact that I was able to kind of do this in one go. I watched this over the course of like 3 days. I think like everybody on the show, I completely forgot that we were doing this. It's like, oh no, oops a daisy. I gotta watch 6 hours of something in the next 4 days. But it was great doing it. You're right though. There is a continuity to this, and I always waffle back and forth between the anticipation of the time release and just the give it all to me in one fire hose so I can ingest as I like. I usually tend towards give it all to me now so I can choose how I want to ingest this work. But there is something to be said for the anticipation. My wife and I, we were big Star Trek fans, and we watched Star Trek Discovery. We watched those week to week, and I think that kind of episodic style show it works okay. But I don't know. I always prefer it being in that kind of fire hose. Give me all the options and let me make my own choice.
It just depends on the show. I mean, if you're a Creature of the Week show or something that is more contained, I think it works great in episode format. But if you're something that is almost like one long movie, it works better with binging. And this feels kind of like one long dilemma.
See, I don't know.
I agree with you, Mike, on not taking big breaks anyway to be able to comprehend the story better. For me, it's hard for me to binge more than like 2 or 3 episodes of anything, even the best shows. So that was not an option for me to do all 6 in a day, but I knocked it out in a couple of days. So,
but I mean, like even binging over a couple of days, like it works. Yeah. I think it works better for that.
Sure,
because each episode ends with a lot of like cliffhangers and a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense where you're anticipating the next episode. And I think it works better if you're able to jump right in and keep going because of all the bizarre stuff. Like when this show opens up, you really have no fucking idea what's happening. You're just open up to Oscar Isaac as Steven and just talking to his mother on the phone. And it's just like, the show doesn't really give you a lot until the end of that first episode when you start realizing things are a little off. When I think is it during the first episode when he goes like he blacks out and forgets what day it is?
It was the first or second episode. I
Okay,
think.
they kind of blend together.
Yes.
Yeah, when he was supposed to go on his date, and he screwed that one up.
And he's vegan.
Yes. Oh, I have a thing about that actually.
I mean, just little things that kind of show you that something isn't right, but at the same time, you don't understand it. I mean, and that's fine. That's what the show's going for.
Right.
I can't complain. I'm just like, that was something I thought about. Like, I don't really understand what's happening, and I want to know more. And I can't remember if this show dropped 2 episodes at first when it first came out, like a lot of shows do now.
I don't think it did.
Okay, well, I got to keep those Disney Plus subscriptions going. So,
Yeah.
Well, it worked. We all watched this.
and I still have Disney Plus. So,
I also have Disney Plus, and now I have Hulu because it was $3 more, and now I'm sending death threats to Disney because I want that Disney Hulu Max combo already.
that makes no sense, but yes, I know it's coming.
Yeah, I think it. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Mike.
No, you go, Bill.
I was just going to say, but we're talking about the first episode. I mean, that first episode sets up a lot, and it's a very load-bearing episode. And we'll also remember too, this is listed as a mini series. Like this is soundly a mini series world. I think if a show has to be a proper season of a show, it has to be like 10 episodes. I think that's like the sweet spot for me. If it's a 10 episode thing, it's a season. If it's less than that, this is a mini series, and I think it's the perfect little mini series. Although I do think the last episode is rushed a bit. I think this really could have used 1 or 2 more episodes to really flesh out, but that's a minor quibble, and we'll talk about it. This first episode really, and I'm not sure we're going to go episode by episode or just pinball around.
I
But
never
this
know
is-
with these.
I'm watching this show, and I'm like, what is going on? And what's really remarkable about the opening of this is that how likable. They start with the most likable person in the room, which is, of course, is the Stephen character, the British Stephen. I don't know if that's a real British accent or not. I've never been to England. I don't care. It's fine.
not.
I'm sure people have made fun of it. I'm sure it's from no area, but it's who cares? It's Marvel. I'm not.
It's definitely not British. He didn't call a single person a cunt.
Yeah, fair. He didn't have a favorite soccer team or something. I don't know. I don't know. I think I've heard people mention that the accent's bad. I don't know. I thought he sounded charming and fine, and as uncultured American, it worked perfectly good. I don't know. I don't know any
Same.
bit better.
It is a placeless accent. Oscar Isaac even tried to do a shitty British accent because how would the American know how to do a British accent?
Right? That's fair. Very good point.
Like
Very
this
good
is
point.
these are things he said in an interview.
Okay.
That
Like-
actually fixes a huge problem for me. I like that.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That fits the character. It fits what the story's going for.
So
Even so, yeah. Go ahead.
I was just going to say this first episode is really where a lot of the online quote unquote fans had a problem with this.
Before you go, I want to say something really quick. I went to go watch a YouTube video of this, and I turned it off within 30 seconds because he started saying how this is where the MCU went bad. I'm like, all right. And then he started talking about women and how this show I'm like, oh, yeah, we're done. Because they're talking about Miss Marvel and She-Hulk. I'm like, I know where we're going. Click.
Yeah.
At the end of that. That's part of the problem for fans.
Isn't it? And just a very quick side. Doesn't it suck when you get trapped into a video like that and you try to escape, but now your entire feed is filled with videos of the same ilk, and you're like, damn it! I tried to escape. I tried to get out, but now you have to go through this whole thing. Not interested. Block this.
Yeah. I'm hoping that by the 22nd, by me not watching any, they realize like, yeah, I'm not here for this. Like the amount of information that the internet takes from me, like you should know I'm a liberal and not a. You should be well aware of that by now, phone that listens to every conversation I have.
Anyway,
You're
but yeah,
so woke, Mike.
Stay asleep.
I mean, phones pay attention to everything. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've said something, and then all of a sudden I see an ad for the thing I just talked about. Like, it hears. I know what you hear. That's fine. But maybe you should just use that to not, suggest things to me that I don't want to hear.
The character of Stephen Grant is not a British gift shop worker in the comics. Stephen Grant is a billionaire businessman.
Really?
Yeah.
How does that change the? I guess maybe it wouldn't. How does that change like the temperature of the show then? Because the fun of it is like you had this schlubby guy who's making his way through everyday London. He's very likable, extremely relatable. calls his mom. And by the way, I got to say, not because I'm a genius, just because I had a funny feeling. I knew his mom was on the other end of that phone. I knew it from the second he started jammering into that receiver. I'm like, his mom ain't there. That he is talking to somebody. And knowing nothing about the show or the character, I just had a little mental hoorah when it turns out I was correct. But yeah, how does that change like the temperature of the show?
Well, see, here's the thing. This feels like a very early story in Mark's Moon Knight experience, right? Yeah. Like to the point where we're just meeting Stephen. So there's still time for smart ass Stephen Grant to become this brilliant business person who invests all of Mark's mercenary money into funding the Moonlight gadgets and gizmos.
Oh.
But for now, the Stephen Grant that we have is perfect because that is the audience surrogate. Because most of the people coming to this show, they don't know what the fuck a Moon Knight is. They have no idea who Mark Spector is. So Steven's just as confused as most of the people who are watching this. And it works really well, I think, to have that position as the audience. He's learning as the audience is learning. And also freaking out because, yeah, you do that. And Mark is Mark. Mark is pretty much the same. Some things have changed with Jake, but we'll get there.
Okay. I know a little bit about Mark Spector from the comics, not by anything I read, because I never read a Moon Knight issue in my life yet. But I just know I knew of the character.
I mean, that's fair. Another thing I know that people were upset about was that Mark Spector is Jewish in the comics. Yeah, but some people said he wasn't Jewish enough.
He was.
To which I would like to say, okay, first off, it's not a hat. It's a yarmulke.
Okay.
Second off, Moon Knight is not Torah, man. Nothing in Mark's background is like, there are no, like, oh, this story is Jewish, so Moonlight has to be here. It's not a central aspect of his character. He's just a mercenary who happens to be Jewish.
I read it as like Jewish by family, not even by faith, really. Just I grew up in a Jewish family. We had matzah on Hanukkah, and why does anyone? I don't know. I used to sell a lot of Jewish food, and I'm sorry, y'all. I don't know, man. Listen. My idea of celebrating isn't noodle kugel or any of that. Some of that stuff is weird, like gefilte fish. I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Gefilte fish.
It doesn't. I've never tried it. Because A, it was very expensive in the deli I worked in, and B, it was like ground up fish bones or something. I don't know. Someone told me a thing that was probably a lie, and it ruined it for me. So I can't. Anyway, but yeah, he's not Jewish by faith. He's Jewish by family, and I don't know. I don't think he factors in very much at all in the story. It's a little tiny piece of it.
Yeah, and I thought having a couple scenes at a couple different shivas and having Mark really have a problem with his faith and kind of taking the yarmulke off and throwing it in the street. I thought that was good. That was a crisis of faith. Nice job, show.
Yeah, and
I didn't even think about that, but that makes sense.
Yeah, more of a. I even looked at it as when he kind of tore the yarmulke off and was stomping on it and in disgust, just almost of saying like, this isn't helping. Like, this isn't helping. This means nothing to me.
Yeah,
it was in him in a moment of crisis, lashing out against the things that are supposed to protect you and help you when you're in crisis. And that moment was not, and you learn why. As we move, go ahead.
That's how Mark is in the comic.
Like, okay,
Mark not much of a faith guy in the comic, but he is Jewish.
I mean, it didn't affect anything. I mean, I didn't know this information, but to me, it doesn't affect anything in this show. Like, the show isn't less or more because of it. Like, why are people bitching about that?
Made something to complain about. It's really what at the end of the day. Yeah.
Because the internet is for me. That is what the internet is for.
No, that is fair. I see it too much, especially, hopefully not more because I clicked on one thing. But yes, no, I get that. It just irritates me how people get dumb about stuff like that. Because it's stupid. Because the show is overall fun. I mean, it's just strange, and I feel like it made more sense now that I watched it after not having, like, had it been a while and going back to it where it made more sense to me, because I understood, like, I remembered very little, but I remembered parts of the story. Like, I knew why he was he tied himself to the bed. Like I knew certain parts that I remembered from the story.
One of the other things that I really like about the show, and Marvel kind of has a really weird hit and miss record with their villains. I usually say just because a lot of times they're really good and a lot of times they're really bad. And Harrow is the main bad guy for this, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Technically.
And I always love when the big reveal happens. I want to say it's probably maybe the second or third episode where it happens, where you finally see what Harrow's big plan is, where he kind of wants to make the world better, but then you see like a thing where he's like, they're like, what's going on? He's like, oh, well, we predetermine people's future. You know, he does a whole thing with the scales and blah, blah, blah. And there's a really good moment because Steven's kind of like, oh, well, you know, maybe I will help this guy. And then he's like, wait, you can't decide on people's decisions like ahead of time. Like that's pretty right. And then he has a big bad guy moment of like, well, I don't give a shit what any of that says. I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I want. And it's like, oh, okay, he's a bad person.
So Ken, is Harrow from the comics?
Harrow is from the comics. Harrow was in exactly one issue.
Nice. I love it.
Way back in like the earlier Moon Knight days.
Okay, so it's like they took a character they could really create themselves.
Yeah, because this is not the Arthur Harrow that was in the comics. The Arthur Harrow in the comics is a medical doctor. He's a scientist. He's continuing a lot of experiments that were started in Auschwitz down in South America.
Holy shit.
Arthur Harrow has some problems in the comics.
Okay, so it's going on that road.
Yeah, so they completely changed Arthur Harrow for the show. And good for them.
Yeah, that would have been some issues there. So
because, like, do we really want to have that in a show with a character who's even vaguely Jewish?
No. We don't need that. Hey, it might have upped it for some people though out there. So
Well, see, that's the thing. You can't make him. You have to make him the perfect amount Jewish, because if he's too Jewish, those people are going to start screaming.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't make him Jewish enough, then people are going to be complaining about Jewish representation in Marvel movies, because they kind of goy washed the Thing pretty well. And who else? There's a bunch of Jewish Marvel characters that nobody talked about in the movies that they were in.
The Thing's Jewish.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I know sometimes Peter Parker's Jewish.
Like Ben Grimm.
It's sometimes.
Ben Grimm is famously Jewish.
I had no idea.
case in point. It's not something that, I can see how I wonder if they'll address that in the movie that's coming out eventually.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I think they did get a Jewish actor to play him.
Cool.
So that's pretty cool.
Because I was curious about Harrow, because the first introduction you get of him is where he breaks glass and then puts the glass inside his shoes and then walks on glass for some reason.
He really likes Annie Lennox.
Sorry, morning prep.
That's you know what? I'll give you that one. That was good. That was good.
It was just I'm like, okay, I mean, it gives you an idea of who this guy is, and it makes him seem like a good person in quotations, because at first he's like, I just want to prevent evil from happening. So we're just going to do what Minority Report did and kill you first.
I had such a Minority Report vibes. I was waiting for a pre-crime thing to come down from the space.
But the way
eyeball out.
The way they first introduce you to it is when he's in a square of this town, and he talks to one person like, "You're saved," and he talks to another person, he's like, "I'm sorry," and you just see him kill this old woman. She just loses her life, and then they drag away her dead body, and it's just like, oh, it's a good scene to introduce him as a villain when you start to realize that there's more to this guy than you think.
And Ethan Hawke is just killing it with villains lately.
Yes,
he's a great actor.
Fantastic.
What was he a villain recently?
Black Phone.
I don't want to watch that movie ever.
I think you do.
Yeah, it's
you might have to.
Not scary.
It looks scary.
It's not scary. It's a really good thriller movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I can handle thrillers.
Yeah, it's a really good thriller movie. Is he the bad guy in Black Phone?
Yeah.
Yes. Spoiler alert.
I mean, it's in the trailers.
Yeah, I thought that was always Joaquin Phoenix.
No, he doesn't look anything like Ethan Hawke, and it's great.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Ethan Hawke's one of also my favorite romantic rom-coms. I think it's a comedy, maybe not. No, not really comedy. Romantic dramas. Before Sunset.
It's a whole trilogy.
Yeah.
I've never seen the third one.
Oh, those are all great movies.
I just saw Before Sunset randomly. I borrowed it from the library. Didn't even know Before Sunrise was a thing, and watched that. Then watched Before Sunrise, and I'm like, okay, these are cool. That's the first one. I mean, I've seen other movies too, but that's one of the movies I saw him in. No, he does a great job in this. He plays a good villain in this. I also really like the woman that plays Lila. I don't know the actress's name.
She's great. Yeah. It's like
May Kalamaui.
Yeah.
Is she from the comics?
No. This is fun. So, Layla El Fowley does not exist in the comics at all, period. There is another character in the comics who has been remade into Layla. Marlene was the daughter of an archaeologist that Moon Knight killed, Dr. Al Roun. And Marlene and Mark have a thing, just like Layla and Mark have a thing. But they made it as Layla, and it makes a little more sense. Because if you're going to have a show take place in Egypt, you should, I don't know, have somebody in Egypt who can do that. Call me crazy.
Imagine that.
You should have a big white guy as playing his Egyptian guy with a bunch of kids.
What is this, Gods of Egypt?
No, I'm referencing Indiana Jones, but
yeah,
I haven't seen that. But yeah, that works too.
I actually will also, funny enough, bounce off Ken for saying that, because also that's the other reason why people hated the show, is that people were royally mad that there was a new character who was also a person of color, who also, what's the quote here that I remember saying? A random woman became a random Egyptian god and got random powers and became randomly powerful.
None of that's random.
She was randomly my favorite.
But nothing's random. Like, she fits. She's related to the guy that Mark Spector killed when he becomes, right before he becomes Moon Knight. Well, didn't kill, but was there at the time of the murder. Like, she's dating Mark Spector or married to Mark Spector before he runs off and is going through all this crisis as Moon Knight. Like, everything with her makes complete story sense. Fucking people.
Also, when she gets that outfit, that is like a peak tier, like OG outfit. I loved everything about that.
That's a badass outfit.
It's great. The costuming in this is fantastic. And I think he won some awards for costuming as well. I love the fact that Moon Knight's costume is actually a real costume. Like, it's not a CGI. It has texture. It's a real thing. It's made out of 800 pieces, according to the Wikipedia. Damn. But I think she was fantastic. I also love how her character, they avoid the, I would say, like, that kind of early 2010s trope of the girl character just being strong. I know Blair says this a lot, like the strong female protagonist, with like the archetype, because she has some vulnerabilities. She has some emotional beats to her, but she also is very capable, which is great in a very like Indiana Jones, Lara Croft kind of way almost. And I liked spending time with her because she had a lot of shades to her, which was really cool and something that our miniseries can do as opposed to a movie that doesn't have as much time. I really liked that character, and she does a great job as well. Excellent actress. I
mean, if you wanted to say that it's weird that she randomly turns into Marvel's version of Wonder Woman, I think that's a valid argument.
I could see that.
Sure. That's valid. For sure. But I'm not complaining.
Oh, I'm not either.
Mm-hmm. Me either. I love her turn near the end of the show, and also I feel like it makes sense because she's somebody who's involved in Egyptian, the gods in general, like searching for them and searching for artifacts. It makes sense that a god would talk to her and offer their power.
Yeah,
everything in the show, like, for that completely makes sense in the way the show does it. There's no issues with her. Like, if you don't like her and you think she doesn't belong there, well, I got news for you.
But since it's a woman of color, it's woke, and woke is bad.
I mean, I would have been upset if it was just a white woman. Like, hi, I'm British, but I'm from Egypt. Like, it works that it's an Egyptian woman. Like, why are you complaining, people? Like, it even shows, like, her characters are, like, her family is from here, like, from Egypt, where they're at.
I mean, if it would have gone British, it would have made sense why she's stealing shit.
Okay, that would have made sense too.
I have a quick question. I always say Mike cut this out, but he won't cut this out.
No, I won't.
This ridiculous question will now be saved in the annals of podcasting forever. there are two directors involved with this, two directing teams involved with this.
Here we go. We're going to talk about it.
Mohammed Diab and Aaron Moorhead and Justin Benson is the second directing team. Yes. Mohammed Diab did the first one, the third, the fifth, and the sixth episodes, and then Aaron Moorhead and Justin Benson did the second and the fourth. This has an extremely strong directorial style. I have a funny feeling Mr. Sanity knows a thing or two about these directors. I'll let you, because I haven't seen much of their work. But it's interesting I'm mentioning a director in a miniseries because they're often directed by different people. This whole miniseries has such an ethereal voice, like such a directorial voice to it. It made me seek out, hey, who are these directors? So I'm going to tee it up for Mr. Kenneth Sanity. Go for it, sir.
Mohammed Diab, great director. I've never seen any of his movies because they're not really available easily in the U.S. They're Egyptian cinema.
Oh.
And he parlayed two movies into this.
Yeah.
Which is great. And that, of course, brings us to my guys, Benson and Moorhead. Oh, my God. I love them so much. Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead do some of the most amazing sci-fi horror work. They're very fresh. They did a movie called Resolution. They've done Spring, The Endless, Synchronic. Like they've done some wild movies. I'm
familiar with Spring.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a good movie. They're all great. Like they're all unique takes on sci-fi tropes. And like Spring is basically an eldritch love story.
That's cool. It's funny because this is, again, it's rare when I watch a TV series and I think who directed this, because again, I thought this had a really strong voice. And I do want to seek this out. I've never seen any of their movies, and I will have to make an effort to see one. If there's one to start with, Ken, what would that be?
I would start with Resolution.
Resolution? Okay. They're 2012's Resolution. Okay.
Yep.
Right on, man. They also did go ahead.
Resolution goes right into The Endless, kind of.
Okay, cool.
But they also did episodes of Loki.
Yes, which is a series I like quite a bit. I like it. I like the first season a lot. The second season I liked pretty good. It was fine. It was good. It was fine.
I think most of their work was in season 2.
Yes, and I'm not saying they were bad. I think they're actually interesting and fun. Yes, most of their stuff, as I'm kind of flicking through it, was actually they did most of the second season. Actually, which is interesting in this world of like television series where you have lots of different directors often doing the work. It's good to see they recognized these people had a authorial voice, like a directorial voice. So I like the second season of Loki. Fine, I think it's good.
I need to watch it still. I couldn't finish it.
I like it.
Oh, and fun fact, I just found this out because I was looking at the Wikipedia. Apparently, Ethan Hawke, he was inspired for his performance by cult leader David Koresh.
Nice.
Yep.
I can see that now.
Yeah, totally. A charismatic, kind on the outside, guided by a flawed morality.
And guided by God, supposedly.
Well, I mean, as people are. I really enjoyed the fact that his whole cult essentially is undone by this mild-mannered British bloke who's like, wait a minute, you can't punish people before they've done a thing. Like, what is this? Like you said, Minority Report, and that's really the only argument you need. And but again, a charismatic cult leader. I'm always here for that trope. I do enjoy that. So, and again, Ethan Hawke is so good in this.
He is. I mean, even when he plays different parts as the show progresses, which we haven't talked about yet, but I don't know if I want to yet. But like he just does a very good job, and I just saw that. I'm like, that is really cool because that makes more sense to the character. I love the cult stuff. I love how you find out that like all these other people have the tattoo at one point when Oscar Isaac goes to somebody and they show him the tattoo. He's like, oh, okay, there's no point in talking to you. Like, yeah, we're with him. Like, I think that's cool.
I think one of the coolest things that I only noticed watching it this time is that in every scene he's in, if you listen carefully, you'll hear the glass in his shoes.
Oh, that's cool.
Like, it's wild.
That's a nice touch. I mean, I think the stuff with Stephen Grant and Mark Spector, the idea of these two different personalities, like at first it doesn't make sense, but as like the show, one of the reviews that I was watching kind of said this, and I didn't really think about it till later, but it makes sense now, that you're dropped into the middle of the story, and then as the show progresses, then you get the backstory to the characters.
Mm-hmm.
And for everybody, you find out that Harrow used to work for Khonshu, who is the god that Moon Knight is working for, or used to be their avatar until they left for some reason, which they never say why he left or if he was what happened. They never really tell you.
We can't really go too much further without talking about F. Murray Abraham as Khonshu's voice.
Yes.
Sure, we can.
So good.
I love that guy.
The guy that killed Mozart, like, he's great.
I believe it actually is said a little bit later, because technically Khonshu, which is funny enough, I think is like the funniest thing ever, is the god of the moon and also vengeance.
Yeah.
And I believe there's a talk earlier where I think Harrow says either Khonshu abandoned him or he abandoned Khonshu. They abandoned each other because Harrow's technically vengeance is taken after someone does something, and he believes that should be done before, and that's why this cult exists, is because you should do something before something happens, kind of thing.
Yeah, his whole complaint is Khonshu is reactionary, and Amit is more treating the disease, not treating the symptoms.
Yeah, but you can't do that. Because what if things change? What if you're wrong?
Amit's probably not wrong.
Fair.
Yeah, but then you get into the whole concept of free will, and whether or not, if you remove somebody's free will, are you giving them the opportunity to make a poor choice, which is like a definition of humanity. We have the opportunity to make choices, and we have to deal with the consequences of those choices, and unfortunately others do too. So if you take away the opportunity for someone to make a choice, did you just remove that person without them actually doing something wrong, even if you're guaranteed to do it? It's a thought conversation as old as the hills, but
yes.
It's an interesting one. I mean, I always side with like, no, people need an opportunity to choose, and yeah, I'm not even what if you're wrong. Even if you know what I'm going to do ahead of time, I still need to do it in order for the ramifications.
In my nitpicks about, it says Amit will eradicate the choice of evil, but how can you do that if there is free will, right?
I think the idea is to get rid of free will.
Saying the opposite thing that Bill was saying, I guess, or the complementary part of what Bill said.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And if you don't have you can't remove the ability for that free will, even if you know what's going to happen, because that's you're doing it early. That's not how justice works, right?
And if you want to get even a little bit more funnier, and I guess we are deciding to hop around, which is funny too. A little bit later on, whenever Harrow revives Khonshu, I don't even think he believes the Kool-Aid he's drinking, because he's like, oh, no matter what I do, my scales will be tipped. And she's like, I mean, that's fine. Eventually we'll get to where your scales will tip to where they need to be. So even though he says you can't change people, he still believes he can change himself and wants to, and believes he's doing the right thing.
And that's a sign of a good antagonist, right? Someone who believes that they are doing the right thing, and I think I don't say common sense. I mean, you can make an argument, but I would agree that is not the correct way of dealing with the problem of people doing stupid things and bad things. It's just not that's not good.
But good villains are always one to have a motive that makes sense, and it makes sense why he's doing this, even if it is fucked up.
He thinks he's right. He thinks this is the solution to the cure. Why treat the symptom? I think, like you said, Ken, why treat the symptom when we can just treat the actual disease? Problem is, disease is human free will, and if you treat the disease, you literally have now robots running around just beeping and blooping. So,
yeah.
I do like it that there's two different Moon Knight costumes, one for Steven and one for Mark. I think that's a really nice touch.
Psycho Colonel Sanders.
Love it.
It's a good look.
They're both good in their own way. I mean, I think the Moon Knight, the first one you see, I think that one obviously looks cooler, but
that's the classic design. I mean, that's the design from his first appearance in Werewolf by Night, whatever it is.
So, are there different suits in the comics as well?
Yeah, actually, the suit with the just regular mask, that is known as Mr. Knight. Moon Knight gets in some trouble, goes absolutely batshit crazy, kills some people. It happens a couple times in the comics. So there are orders to shoot and kill Moon Knight on sight. But police consultant Mr. Knight, who has a suit and a form-fitting mask. Well, that's not the same guy. But it is, but it's not.
Right.
But Mr. Knight only came around in like 2014, and they're pretty much just doing like stuff from the more recent runs. And going back to something that I think Joe said earlier, where Mark Spector hasn't always had DID. That's right. He used to just pretend he did.
Right.
Which is worse.
Yeah. Yeah. Self-imposed a coping mechanism. That's interesting.
Yeah, like Stephen Grant and Jake Lockley were just personalities he made up and slipped into whenever he wanted to. Kind of like Matches Malone with Batman. But somewhere along the line, the writers were like, no, this is more interesting.
This is more interesting. When you find out why Steven is there and who Steven is, like, that is a great twist.
Yes.
It's really good storytelling.
I like that tragic backstory. It's really good.
Oh, man. And tragic it is. Jesus.
Heartbreaking. And like, I was crowing to my wife, like, Jane, this is so good. Like, oh, I'm so happy I'm watching this. This is so good. And she's like, well, thanks for watching.
I'm so happy.
Yeah, that's how I roll. That's just
Same.
my.
Same.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you for making me feel things, Art. I love it.
Exactly.
And then she's like, I guess I'll have to watch it at some point. And then I'm like, actually, it's kind of emotionally destroying too. So, and I know my wife's tendencies and the things that could definitely, that would affect her. And the backstory of Mark is definitely something I don't think she'd be too hip with emotionally. Like, maybe not.
It's dark. Like it hits. Like the whole idea that you find out that Mark had a brother and his brother died, not really because of him, but because of him, because they went hiking into a cave and he drowned, and then his mother hates him because he survived, and it's bad.
His mother, who may may not have some form of mental issues as well.
Oh yeah, she's suffering mental illness too. Like, to beat your child, that is mental illness right there. Like what's happening to her, and like you kind of see her how distressed she is and how she's blaming him for what happened. Like, and she couldn't move past it. She could never get past it.
I was happy to see Randall die. Fuck Randall Spector. Randall Spector in the comic books is a completely different character who doesn't die as a youth. He's a piece of shit.
Okay.
Oh, really?
I did catch one reference when Mark Spector talks about the mercenary who shot him was Bushman.
Yeah.
And I had the Leonardo moment. I get that reference because I know he's one of Moon Knight's villains from the comics.
And that's
really?
why you got to take Arthur Harrow as like a villain for the first series, because you can't just introduce Raoul Bushman right away. 1. 2. Moonlight really doesn't have any major enemies except for like people like, Bushman or Midnight Man, who does show up in this series.
He does?
Yeah.
The hell's Midnight Man?
I don't know either.
Midnight Man is a thief who always commits crimes at exactly midnight. Well,
So you're
that's
telling me
a problem
he's a
for people who travel.
Silver Age Batman villain.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
But
Is he in the show?
he is in the show, not as Midnight Man, but Anton Mogart, the antiquities guy that Layla goes to see, is Midnight Man's actual name.
Oh, okay.
They kill him, don't they, in this?
Well, they don't really show it, but the actor who played him did tragically die in a skiing accident.
Oh.
So, yeah, like he gone.
Okay, that's sad. Also, don't ski sometimes, I feel like.
Like
Skiing sounds dangerous.
Sonny Bono, now Gaspard Ulliel. Like,
Real expensive way to die.
yeah.
I've told you my recent snowboarding story, right? I've told you the story, I think.
I don't remember. I
Well,
don't think
for
so.
those who haven't, since we're going to go on this diversion, I'll do
Sure,
this
let's
very
go
quick.
on it.
I'll do
Yeah,
it
about
very
that.
quickly. Very, very quickly. I a couple of years ago, my family and extended family decided to take a trip to Colorado, to Breckenridge, for a ski vacation. It was like one of those once in a lifetime things. Like my family on the other side are very well to do. They rented this big old honking house on the side of the mountain, and we did some skiing and snowboarding. And I foolishly tried to snowboard. Now, back when I was 25, I did a little bit of snowboarding. In Utah and in Jersey and other places. But that was 15 years ago. And 15 years does a lot in the old body. And I've learned very quickly I am not a snowboarder, nor am I a skier. I did nothing but fall that first day on the mountain. Nothing but fall and fall. The second day, my wife's like, you should try skiing, because my wife grew up skiing. So she's a very good skier. Her whole family are good skiers. My son was in ski school. Like, everyone was having fun skiing. Like, fine, I'll put the skis on. So I put the skis on. And the one thing the instructor should have told me was, in order to slow down, like control your speed, you have to turn. Are there any skiers in this room virtually?
Yeah. They usually teach you to do the wedge first, but yeah.
Yes, exactly. The pizza. Me and the children. They're like, make a pizza. You pizza down the slope, and you won't die. Okay, great. Thank you. That's perfect.
You won't die.
And you won't die. So I'm pizzaing. I'm getting the feel for it. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm going down the little baby bunny slope with all the little children. Like, hi, kids. The last run, they actually let us out on the proper mountain. And I'm going down, and I go, oh, I'm going too fast. Pizza. But the problem is I did not slow down. I just kept picking up speed. And I am digging into this pizza. I was played goalie. I was a hockey goalie for a long time. I understand like how to like get into a squat to stop. I'm not stopping because I'm now going too fast. I was supposed to turn to slow down. That's what they tell you. I did not know that because they didn't tell me that. I'm hurtling down this mountain. Halfway, about 3/4 of the way down, I start screaming at the top of my lungs. Ah! Ah! I'm screaming, and I do the most sensible thing I can do was I just fall. I just fell down. I just went to the right. I tumbled. I spun a couple times and landed in a very dramatic fashion to where someone walked up and was like, "Dude, are you okay?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I can't feel things. Give me a minute." Clearly, I was fine. And then from that moment forward, I vowed I will never strap a ski nor snowboard to my feet again. I am done. Officially. My wife loves to ski. My son loves to ski. Go without me. I ain't doing it. And again, that's my
fair. I just think it's I think it's dangerous. Like I've done cross country skiing. That was fine because I wasn't down any hills. But yeah, I would do the same thing. Just drop yourself and just.
I just fell down. I'm just gonna bail. And sure enough, like I could see like the edge. I can get those like little gates, those little not paper gates, but like those little plastic gates on the side of the mountain. I'm hurtling towards that. So it's either the unknown or a broken arm. And I chose broken arm. And I didn't break anything, thankfully. No idea how I didn't. But yeah, that's my skiing story. Back to the episode.
Sorry. Oh, it's fine. That's what makes the show great. So it's all the extra stuff we inject into it.
So what you're telling me, Ken, is that the comics went, that's not Red Hood, that's Arkham Knight.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've been holding that one in the chamber for a while.
God damn.
I do like the stuff when Steven and Lila work together, and like that's very touching because she's almost closer to him than she is Mark.
Yeah, like you can see she's falling in love with him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like that part when she's like, "You smell like him." She's like, "Well, duh." And I like how she says that to herself. It's so cute. It's so good.
Yeah.
And like when they kiss for the first time, and she kind of feels guilty about it because it's not her husband, but it is her husband. So,
that's what you need sometimes. You need a woman who will be there for both sides of your personality. the really dark and brooding one, and the goofy English guy who thinks he's English, but he's really not.
So I love when Khonshu's voice is like, "Not the idiot again," a couple times when he first switches early in the show. So good.
And how about the actor who does the voice of Khonshu? How great is that voice? That booming baritone is so good.
I love
I could listen to that.
Oh, that might have been when you stepped away for a minute.
Yes, it was.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's never too late to bring up F. Murray Abraham
later.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
No,
you're good.
No apology necessary.
Everybody listening right now, go out and watch Amadeus right now.
And Mimic.
Oh yeah, and Mimic, and Last Action Hero.
Oh yeah, Last Action Hero.
God, that's a deep cut. Well, maybe not that deep a cut, but I know it.
You know what? We should just have an F. Murray Abraham month.
Murray March.
Look how long it's taken me to do certain series, and you think, oh yeah, I'm not good at sticking with one thing.
F. Murray Maybraham.
I'm good at doing lots of things.
Ooh, all right.
I'm not. I can't stick. I have a hard time. I haven't even done all of Scarlett Johansson's filmography, and I love her.
Did you do? What's the one where she plays the alien?
Under the Skin.
Yes.
Yes, we did.
Oh,
Unfortunately.
oh boy, did we?
Disturbing.
I was gonna say,
Go listen to episode if you want to hear me complain a lot.
Yeah, I'm going to go find that one.
That
You
is
will hear me
a
complain a lot.
that's actually a fun episode. Yes.
It is. I'm bitching a lot, but it's a good episode.
Oh no, it's one person bitching and complaining. Were you on that one too, Joe?
No, I was gonna say what is it? Was it Ghost in the Shell? But no, I have no idea what movie you're talking about.
It's
I was also
understood.
It was
You don't
Ken,
need to.
myself, and
Tiffany
obviously
and
Mike
me.
and Tiffany and you, because that was the fourth then. And it's just Ken and I just loving this strange, almost silent movie. And Mike and us trying to convince Mike that it's good. And towards the end, he almost turned. We almost convinced him this is a good movie.
It was an art movie, and I've gotten more. I've accepted art movies more now. Since then, I'm trying to become more accepting of different things. So,
do y'all want to hear my?
Oh, sorry.
I say real quick. Do you want to hear my name pitch?
Sure.
ScarJo November.
How does that work?
Ooh, I like that. ScarJo November or ScarJo Vember. ScarJo Vember.
ScarJo Vember.
There you go. Yeah.
That is cool. It
think
won't
that-
happen, but that's cool. I can't. I mean, I got too much. I record too much random shit that I'd had a hard time. I would have a hard time doing that much stuff in one order.
Anyway, what are you saying, Ken?
Please take us back.
I
to
don't
Moon Knight.
remember. I forgot after ScarJovember.
See, we're just like Moon Knight. We're losing our personalities. We're losing ourselves.
So they. Speaking of which, they do very much tease Jake Lockley. At least I say
Twice.
three.
Twice.
I say three.
Oh, well, no, 3. You're right.
Well, then maybe 4. My personal theory is that whenever I think Mark goes like, "Oh, we need to go to Egypt," and Mark wakes up in the room in Egypt, I actually think that's the switch to Jake Lockley back to Mark.
Same.
I don't. Mark didn't look
Well, no.
surprised to be there.
Yeah, no, he's right. There's a couple points like when they're in a fight and he's surprised. And he's like, "Steven, what'd you do?" And he's like, "I didn't do anything. What'd you do, Mark?"
Like when the guys get stabbed in Egypt, that's Jake.
That one. Yep.
The final fight with Harrow, and when Mark comes through, he's got like the axe to Harrow's head. That was Jake.
Yep.
The red sarcophagus in the asylum, I think, is Jake.
That confirmed.
Ooh.
That got
That's
confirmed.
also the theory too.
Okay.
It's no theory. That got confirmed. That got confirmed that's Jake because they didn't see him whenever they were trying to get their hearts on the scale.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because when I try not to do this when I watch a series, but I was so entranced by the fourth or fifth episode. I'm like, I need to learn more about Moon Knight. Like, what is this freaking property? Like, what? Why is there a hippo? This is amazing. I love all this stupidity. This is so fantastic. And I read about it, and I realized that there were 5. I think there's 5 in the comics, 5 versions that can go back and forth between.
Technically, if you're counting Moon Knight and Mr. Knight, which some do and some don't.
Okay. So when I realized there was more than one, that kind of sort of spoiled it for me, because then once they had that moment, we had the axe to the guy's head, I was like, oh, is that a third one? Is there a third one? And it was actually still a really cool moment for me, but I'm kind of sort of glad I mini spoiled it for myself, so I wasn't completely confused. That was like, oh, there's another one. There's another one. How cool is that?
That hurts anything because it's still very, very confusing. And even though you don't know at the same time.
Plus, they're telling you right at the beginning. Do you remember that scene where Steven's getting ready for his date and he's checking out his outfit in the mirror?
Uh-huh.
How many reflections of him are staring back at him?
Is it 3?
It is 3.
There
are 3 reflections so often in the show. If you look at the credits, his Oscar Isaac's face is split in 3. Like, they are teasing that third personality the entire time.
I didn't catch that either. That's cool.
Yeah.
There's some interesting stuff in here. There really is. I want to talk about the asylum, especially since you brought it up. That asylum stuff is so damn good because it makes, when it comes in the show, it's about episode 4 or so, it really starts to make you question, is he really just in an asylum? Is he really just nuts? Like, because that, where they're like, oh, with a guy, the orderly brings him, he's like, yeah, I brought you to your favorite spot. And it's a reflection of himself because he's able to talk to himself. And then Lila's one of the women there, and she's like, hey, look, you won bingo. Now maybe I'll share with this time. I promise. And she runs off. Like, that part is so good because it really makes you question what you're watching in a great way.
It's masterfully done.
Maybe I'm too stupid, but I still don't understand the insane asylum thing. Was that purgatory?
I don't think so.
No.
Was it?
So yeah.
And why was Ethan Hawke there?
Well, like, some of it was Mark trying to make sense of everything as he's dying.
Okay. So
that happens a lot.
it could be his brain shutting down or whatever. Like what's Jacob's Ladder? We got a Jacob's Ladder situation.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. All right.
The other idea is that sometimes you're inside of your own heart and you kind of see like stained glass on the floor, so you kind of have choices and things like that, and weird voices talk to you. It happens sometimes. The stained glasses or Disney princesses, it's whatever.
If I could kick you out of the chat and bring you right back in, I would have, but I can't. But I wanted to. Damn it, he's right, and I don't like it. He's out of line, but he's right.
It's a coincidence. That's all this is.
It's a coincidence. I like to make jokes.
I love the asylum stuff, and Harrow being the psychiatrist. The way I saw it was that since at first I was thinking it had something to do with that Harrow had put him there, but maybe it's just because of if you're someone in that situation, you might see the doctor as your antagonist.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that you took the villain and made the villain your doctor.
Oh yeah, 100%. That's exactly why.
I mean, it's really good, and that moment when they run into each other, when you start realizing something is off, but that one scene where both of them see the hippo and scream together. It's such a good image.
That end of episode 4, I think it is. It's fantastic. That was an exclamation in the office as I was watching it, going, "What am I watching? What is this glorious nonsense? What is
she
this?"
Just like, hello.
Oh, I just love it. It was, and what's great about it is, and I think let's kind of go back a little bit to the reaction of people when this first came out, that this isn't this traditional Marvel superhero movie, series, where it's not a paint by numbers Marvel. I said this before, and I've said this on the show before, but the Marvel MCU movies especially are very much so like police procedurals, like, CSI Miami or, NCIS or Criminal Minds. They're all basically the same with different coats of paint and different villains of the day. And that's actually fine. That's actually a good thing. I don't mind that repetition. I don't mind putting on a cozy pair of sweatpants when watching something. But when you create this world of mystique and intrigue where you don't know what's going on, when you're purposefully being led astray and not being given enough information to make a sound judgment as to what's going on, it makes the standard purple laser stuff better. Like that final battle in the final episode is just big monsters hitting each other and purple lasers and smacking and punching and Marvel stuff. That it's the police procedural stuff again.
Yeah.
But it's good and impactful because I don't know. This show at the end of episode 4 showed me a talking hippopotamus in an insane asylum with the two people which was insane. I was when at the final, and we'll talk about the ending and all that. We're bouncing around, but that's fine.
In there.
At least I shouldn't say that's not my show. Is this fine, Mike? Please
I don't
steer
mind.
the ship
You know
if
that.
you need to. But when you're having when you've been to that final battle, there's real stakes because I don't know what the show is gonna do. It's broken my conventions 100 times already. So I don't know. You could absolutely kill our femme fatale. You could absolutely kill Mark again. Something goofy could happen. A pyramid appears. I love the fact that all of the mystique and the intrigue, the interesting stuff this show does, makes the standard Marvel stuff better. I love that.
Yeah, I think it's nice to have something different because this show doesn't really follow what they put down before. It tries to do something different, and that makes it more interesting. I like the fact that you have half the show in Cairo, that you have that all the gods meet inside the Great Pyramid. I thought that was a really nice touch.
Man, I sure hate to be that guy's last thought of where he was dying on the ground and went, "Fuck, we really should have listened to Khonshu like 2 weeks ago."
Yeah. But I get it why they didn't, because he hadn't done anything yet. I mean, he's working on it, but he hadn't done anything yet. He hadn't committed the crime that he was being accused of. He was getting close.
To be fair, it's also kind of the whole Khonshu is kind of an asshole too as well, because they technically asked Mark to speak, And really, at the end of the day, instead of being like, oh, well, Mark has a dual personality and it's Khonshu's fault, they're like, we'll deal with that later. What's going on with this guy? And all I had to do was like, look, there's a cult. You can even check his arm and the fucking stupid cane he's carrying around, because those are both fucking gifts from fucking the crocodile god. So like, you know, he had
her
the
face on the cane.
Yeah, and it's even he even says it's a gift too from her. So like, if he just honestly spoke normally for like maybe 2 minutes, they probably would have shortened the show by like 3 episodes.
But Khonshu is too full of himself to do that and doesn't trust them.
Mm-hmm.
There's no trust for who they are, so he's not handling it correctly. Because there's too much rage and resentment toward the other gods that instead of being logical, he's being an idiot.
Well, he's also just a huge bastard too. But go ahead,
Yeah.
go ahead, Bill.
I enjoy Khonshu because again he has those he's not a hero character at all, nor is he really a villain character. He's just a flawed deity, which actually is kind of like an oxymoron if you're thinking about it. But he's like this flawed deity where he's I don't say he's no better than what's the name of the main big bad? Sorry, Ahmed. Thank you. His thing is, I'm going to punish people for what they've already done, but who makes him judge, jury, and executioner? That's the moral quandary you ask for him. It's like, well, who are you to say this person deserves to die and this person deserves to live? Why is your morality the end all be all? And that's the argument for Khonshu. And Khonshu, yeah, he probably doesn't have a great answer for that. So it's a very interesting battle between the two. And Ken, I have this question. Ken, is that council in the comics, like that council of gods that meet in the pyramid?
I mean, they probably show up. I haven't read every single Moon Knight issue. Like that's a lot.
He's an old character.
First appeared in 1972, and he's been kind of going on and off since then. So it's a bit.
I was just curious if they've come across in your
like
travel.
The gods have definitely talked to Khonshu before, though, in the comics.
Okay.
Like there's an entire arc where Khonshu takes on the Avengers.
That's cool.
And it gets weird.
I have a very fun question to ask you, Mr. Kenneth Sanity.
Mm.
Will Jake get his own Moon Knight outfit?
I hope not.
Oh, okay.
Like, okay, here's the thing. Like, Mr. Knight was born out of necessity because Moon Knight had worn out his welcome in the entire country. It was bad. So once you have Mr. Knight as the police consultant, you can still do the thing. Mark is the mercenary who brings in the money with the jobs. Steven is the billionaire who invests the money and makes it grow. Jake is basically the Matches Malone, the criminal who drives a cab, who knows what's going on in the underworld. And they communicate between each other. So, like, Moon Knight is a lot of different characters in one. And I can appreciate that. I think it's great. The story possibilities are endless. I don't think Jake needs one. But,
okay.
I mean, Jake doesn't need a costume, though. You saw what he did with just a body.
Yeah, he just shot the guy. I mean, that's also a great reveal, the way they do it, because as the show progresses and you get in the last episode, they fight Ahmet. You start seeing all these people die in Egypt that are being judged, and she's soaking up the souls. Very Godzilla. Hey, your first kaiju moment in the MCU too, I think.
Yep.
And it's very cool. And then they almost kill, like, because Mark is about to kill Harrow, but stops himself after they put Ahmet into Harrow's body to make Ahmet immortal, which I do like that idea, because that's something that I feel like other shows have done it, like Hercules and things like that. Like, you take a god, make him immortal, or get an idiot to wish he was a genie, then, put him back in the lamp. Stuff like that. Like, I like that idea. And it's such cool because the show ends like that. They give up their powers. They're like, Moon Knight, we don't want to be you. And, they tell Khonshu, we're done. He relieves them. They wake up in the apartment. And then the credits start to roll. Then you finally get the reveal scene where Jake, the third version of Moon Knight, or of this character, ends up shooting Harrow and killing him right in front of the hospital, which you think people would notice that the car just lit up all of a sudden. But hey, TV.
Now, that car is important because that car is from the Moon Knight from the Dead 6-issue arc that Warren Ellis wrote.
Oh.
That is Mr. Knight's car. So I was thrilled to see it there because You look at the license plate, it's Spectre.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah, I noticed it was Spectre at the license plate. Very clever.
And I also love that you have Khonshu in the suit, not in like the rags.
That was cool.
Khonshu in the suit shows up a lot in the comics, and it's a real chicken and eggs type of thing in the comics. Yeah. Did Khonshu save Mark, or did Khonshu mark Mark earlier, like when he was a child? Like, how long has Khonshu been in Spectre's life? Like, it's really do some interesting stuff.
The one thing that I remember specifically too, and funny enough, did She-Hulk come out after this? Or
yes.
there was okay.
After.
So She-Hulk makes a very good point, and I bring it up because one of the things is people complain about the show. People were pissed about that cut whenever that episode aired, the final episode aired. People all over Twitter were like, I can't believe they cut the final fight. But that whole fight sequence lasts like 15 minutes anyways, so I don't get what people are talking about. It's long enough. But I'm also fine with what She-Hulk brings up at the end of the show too, which other people, it was also causing, Marvel fatigue for a lot of people as well. I'm so sick of these shows being about story, and the last episode has to be some kind of goofy superhero show-offy fight. You can end a TV show with just it ending, Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I think that gets to that police procedural side of the MCU too. I agree with you, Joe, to a certain extent. I think the way Moon Knight does it, I like the fact that the big defeat of Ethan Hawke, you don't see any of it. It happens in a blackout. I think that's really good and smart. Mm-hmm. But I gotta say, the little boy in me was very pleased at watching the big muscle people smack each other around and the kaijus smacking each other around against the pyramids. It was fun. And I think the reason it worked for me in this situation where it sometimes doesn't is there wasn't a ton of that in this movie. There's not a lot of this. I think every episode has one battle scene at least. But even the battle scene that's there is maybe 2 minutes long. The rest of it is just character work. And it's great.
It's a different type of show or just MCU product that we have.
Right, but
even other shows that we've done, Hawkeye, for example, like there's a lot. I think maybe Hawkeye's kind of. I think there's more fighting in Hawkeye.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, Hawkeye is more traditional, I would say. Yeah, but it's nice that they really gave this show time to breathe, and I think that's really commendable, and really lets it that at the end when you do have the big fight with the superheroes doing superhero things that you've seen for the last 25 years, you go, oh, you know what, this is actually fun. I enjoy this because at the end of the day, it is an MCU Marvel product, and you got to have that bits in there. I think we all like to think we want the character study MCU movie or MCU TV show, that like the really intense drama, the courtroom drama, And I didn't see She-Hulk, so I think there's like elements of that in She-Hulk.
She-Hulk's good, but there's not a lot of elements of that.
No.
Okay, I've not seen She-Hulk, but
She-Hulk is really good.
It's worth watching.
So yeah, I will when Mike Albertin tells me to. I think you already
actually did it with a cast.
That's right, you did it with a different cast. Now I can just watch it without having anything to have to talk about. Yeah. Anyway, I think we all secretly kind of like as film nerds. I'll just speak for myself and Ken. We kind of wish for that Marvel series that's just like people talking, and relationships and a coming of age drama. But at the end of the day, I don't think we'd really want what would come of that idea. I think we still want a little bit of the smashing and punching and shooting and kicking, and that stuff's fun. And I think Moon Knight does that stuff really, really well.
We're way past the point for it, and I still think Marvel dropped the ball for not giving us like a 5-season like blip series about what people were doing during Thanos' snap. Completely dropped it, and that would have been a great series. But then again, I think COVID happened, so it wouldn't have mattered.
Was that actually teased like as an idea?
That's my own personal idea, because everyone that time skip happens in that movie, and that's all we ever see from it. And then we get some stuff from Spider-Man where like Peter's on the plane and he sees like, oh, there's like documentaries about what happened during the blip and what people thought that what the Avengers did to stop it and things like that. And it's like, I would kill to just have like the first episode start with like people vanishing, and then like every season just be like a year of what happened during all that and people dealing with like stuff and things, and even throw in like some C and D tier like villains too. Just for references and stuff like that. Maybe a Spider-Man cameo. No, Spider-Man died. Never mind. But yeah, you get what I mean.
I dig that. I actually do dig that. I like that idea. I actually really like that idea of what was happening during the blip, because you're right. There's a lot of interesting personal stories there. You're right. I think that'd be actually really cool.
Winter Soldier touches on it a little bit, but not a whole lot.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been, I haven't watched that show since it came out, which was 2021, I think? It was a while ago.
Probably.
Or is it 2020? I have the ability to look, but I don't care enough, so. Another thing I want to bring up, because we're kind of nearing the end of this. The stuff when they're on the raft after Mark is killed by Harrow and his men, and like that whole idea when the hippo grabs out their hearts and she's like, well, the hearts don't balance. And then when Steven falls off the boat, their hearts balance. I thought that was a really nice touch, too.
Theme. Hello, Theme. Welcome to the show, Theme. Yeah, I thought it was great. That was wonderful.
And
what a great, yeah.
It's also the afterlife thing, which was brought up. At some point, I remember somebody talking about this on a YouTube or somewhere, maybe back when the show first came out, that the idea is that different religions in the Marvel universe have different afterlives. If you're, Asgard, you go to Valhalla, and here are these Egyptians, and they go, like, I thought that was a nice touch, too, to kind of show that there are different gods or people that we perceive, creatures that we perceive as gods in this world. Like, I really like that.
Yes, because the last thing I want to remember is what happens when you believe in Norse gods and you go to Valhalla. Fucking Thor, Love and Thunder.
We can forget that movie happened, because that is the worst movie in the entire series.
Haven't seen it, and I have a funny feeling I will at some point for podcast.
It's gonna be like Eternals, where we get there and I go, oh yeah, and we just don't, and we just take it like years off.
Better than Thor 2.
Disagree.
Wow.
Ooh, right.
Heavy disagree.
That's a hard fight, to be fair.
Well, Thor 2 is boring, but okay. Thor Love and Thunder took what I loved and shat on it, shit on it, beat it up, threw it in the trash, and said, "Here you go, Mike." I fucking hate that movie. It's trash.
The movie's fine.
I thought it was totally fine. I don't know.
It's trash. Okay. I also am a big sucker for Natalie Portman. You get Natalie Portman back, and you do nothing good with that character. You just.
Do you want to kick me off the show right now? Because I thought she was actually pretty bad in it.
No, I just really like her a lot.
I like her too, but I thought she was not good in Love and Thunder particularly.
Well, that's because the movie's terrible. That's another conversation.
Yeah, but speaking of good shows, Moon Knight. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Another question I want to ask before we go to shelf and all that. Do you think there will be a second season, or do you think this is just a mini series and like this is all we're gonna get?
I think I actually, considering what I just watched, I trust them, which is weird for me to say of the MCU at this point, but I trust them that if they're going to do it, they'll do it properly and they'll have a good reason to do so. I would like to see I'd like to see this again. I think it was interesting and different and fun. I'm curious how much of the intrigue and the fun is in the setup of the Moon Knight character and in the discovery of what this character is. Yeah. Because now we have like a Matrix situation where the first Matrix is fun because you're learning the entire time about this new world and Neo and all this stuff. And then the next two movies are like, all right, now he's just a superhero. There's nothing else to learn. We've exhausted the learning part of this. We're now just going to fight bad guys. But I don't know if there's another series in here, but I don't know. Maybe I'd like to see it. Yeah.
Tell him, Ken.
Yeah, I'm going to refer to Ken on this one.
There should be another series. The Bushman stuff is so important to who Moon Knight is, and they've already referenced Bushman. They have a chance to do the one thing that would be amazing for Marvel to do, which is to play out what happens to Bushman when Mark Spector cuts his fucking face off while he's alive.
Okay.
All right.
Here for that. Yahoo!
It is. It's great. And Bushman's running around without a face for a while. It's great. And you don't know whether or not Bushman has a face or doesn't have a face because he's like still alive, or if he's actually living in Mark's head. It gets really interesting.
Is this in the Jeff Lemire run?
No, this is earlier than that, I think.
I should read more Moon Knight.
Well, hey, surprise! If you want to, I have I've been thinking about
it. There is a point where he gets some personalities that are essentially Spider-Man and Wolverine. And he starts rolling the West Coast Avengers. Like, they get a little goofy at times, But I think they do have a really strong possibility for season 2. Getting Layla some closure, going after Bushman, getting Mark more time in the spotlight as opposed to where the first one was mostly Steven. Give Mark more time in the spotlight. Have Mark be able to work on his issues. Have him go meet his dad again.
But also, by the time we get, if we even got a third season, it wouldn't be second season, it wouldn't be 2025, it would be 2026, 4 years later. Is that too long of a gap to come back?
I don't think so.
How many years were there between Loki seasons?
Like 3.
Yeah.
2 or 3.
Yeah, I don't think that's a problem at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's more than enough time for the internet to realize that they're idiots and come back around on this.
Yeah, I don't know what people are complaining about. I said this in our little group chat. If people are complaining about this, you're the problem. Like, this is interesting Marvel shit. Like, this is the stuff they ought to be doing, like stretching their boundaries and trying different things. You have limitless funds. Put money into weird nonsense and let us see some weird nonsense that's actually good, like really good and interesting. And yeah, I don't know why people are complaining about this. Was there not enough pew purple lasers?
Yes.
Was that really it? Like, that was a complaint.
That's really what it was. Yeah.
For me, it's just I was confused. The more we've talked, you have elevated the show because I understand it better.
Okay. Now, again, I must make the question. Were you playing Snap while you were watching this?
I was mostly eating while I was watching this.
It's a little better.
I mean, to be fair, I don't really watch TV unless I'm eating or editing or snapping. So if one of those 3, this is the better outcome. I watched it in my lunch breaks throughout.
Okay, all right.
So every day at work, I get an hour lunch break. So I would get my lunch and then I would sit down and watch a majority of an episode. And that's what I did over the course of about a week.
That makes perfect sense.
I'd also like to point out that for me, I have a similar issue where I'm usually doing something else while I'm watching something at home, ADHD, whatever. But for me, again, the first 2 episodes, super interesting, had my attention. I wasn't doing much else but watching them. And then as the show wore on, I lost interest and I found myself doing other things more while trying to watch and take notes. So I don't want to say like if the show should have been better, but if it had been more interesting to me, I would have continued to focus more on it.
That's fair. I think it's more like 3 and 4. It kind of gets a little different, and then it makes more sense. Because I feel like in the second watching, just like other shows that we've done or other movies you've done on the show, like Dark City, it makes more sense in your second watching.
Yes.
I will say, I was teeing up to Ken. I was hoping Ken would say it, and he didn't. The other ongoing theory is the reason why we haven't gotten a second season, which we mentioned maybe off the show, is because of Blade. I firmly believe that they're waiting for Blade to come out, and we're going to get a Blade, Black Knight, Moon Knight movie with them fighting Dracula.
Oh, if we get a Sons of Vengeance movie, I'm gonna shit my fucking pants.
I'm pretty sure you don't have to worry about that, Ken. I'm about 95% sure you don't have to worry about that.
Oh my god, give me Blade, Ghost Rider, Vengeance, Moon Knight, all going after Dracula. Shit, yes.
I'd watch the shit out of that movie. Made by Sam Raimi? Yeah, I'd watch the shit out of that.
It's not gonna happen.
Yeah,
That's too easy for them to do and make it good. They won't go down that road. Nope. It would be too out there. I think they'd be too worried. But it would be cool.
They gotta stick the landing with Blade first, and
we ain't getting Blade. I don't believe we're getting Blade at this point.
All right, you know what? Marvel Studios, I'll do Blade. If you're listening right now, pay me $30,000. I'll fucking do it. I'll write the damn thing if I have to.
Hey, it's a bargain for them.
Yeah. You want something weird? You want something dark? Come to Ken.
Hand it to old Ken Sanity Productions, and let's make this happen.
And while I'm dreaming, I'd like a pony.
I mean, I hope we get another season of the show. I hope something comes out of it. I just don't have high expectations that will happen. That's all. I mean, I think that's a fair statement for me to make, too.
It's unfortunate, but you're probably not wrong.
Yeah. This is a case I don't really want to be right, but yeah. Because I mean, I enjoyed the show enough that I would gladly watch more. And especially after our conversation, I appreciate the show more than I did going into it this week. I mean,
that's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair.
And sometimes you need that. Sometimes you just need that discussion with people to, because I don't have that water cooler talk with anybody other than this podcast because I The only coworkers I have that are around me are cats, and they don't talk back. Well, they do, but not in words I understand.
Well, Mike, if you ever need somebody to change your opinion on a thing, please just give me a ring. I'm happy to.
Yeah, you both have done it multiple times.
Happy to be that ass in your life who No, it's cool. Sometimes there is something to be said for the power of conversation to elevate an experience, and to add new context. Good.
100%. All right. Any last things you want to say about the show before we go to Shelf Stacker Box?
I think I'm good.
Okay. We'll go to Shelf Stacker Box. And Zach, why don't you go first?
Oh, all right. I won't belabor this. I was torn between box and stack going into this conversation, but through the discussion, you guys have cleared up a lot of the issues that I actually had with it. It still doesn't help with the not being able to keep my interest through all the way through, but I think it definitely goes in the stack for me at this point. I could see myself watching it again at some point in the future.
All right. And Joe?
It's going on the shelf. I love this. I love this show. I say movie, but it's a show.
That's
I love the
fair.
show.
It's a movie.
Yeah.
It's just a longer movie. That's all. It's a movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do also get to. And when I think about it too, that's probably when I was least paying attention. There is a little bit you can cut from this and maybe put a little bit more in there. But I also feel like there's a lot of stuff that's unanswered because they did want to make a second season. But I love Oscar Isaac, and I love all the characters in this. It had a really solid plot line, and I wish maybe we got maybe a little more of like the like whenever they black out, you wouldn't really get an answer to what's happening. Cat agrees. But yeah, I still had a fun time with it. We're watching it the first time and watching it again. I had a good time with it, so it's still going on the shelf.
Okay, I'll go next. I'm going to put this in the stack. I still enjoyed it. Really glad I saw it. Glad I rewatched it, and I'm glad we talked about it because now it makes more sense. And we got another MCU thing done, so that gives some points too. But go in the stack for me because I didn't love it, but I did have fun. And Bill?
I'm going to put this on the shelf. I absolutely loved it. And I like when Marvel does weird things. It uses its powers of influence and money to do cool, interesting things. It's refreshing. I walked away from each episode. I walked away from each episode wanting more, and walked away with a big smile of surprise. Like, yes, we're going to go to Cairo. Yes, there's a hippopotamus. Yes, we're going to do something cool. And the show is a constant string of surprises, and I think it's beautifully crafted. It's the shot. You didn't even talk too much about cinematography. Is absolutely fantastic. Oscar Isaac is dreamy as he is talented. It's a real total package for me. I absolutely loved it. So shelf for sure.
All right, and Ken.
I was really thinking hard about. No, I wasn't. It's going on the shelf for me. Absolutely, it's going on the shelf. I don't even think I could have said it with a straight face, since I've pretty much been hyping this show up, for a long time to try to get us to cover it, but also during the episode, it's impossible to believe that I would put this anywhere but the shelf. The more I think about it, the more I'm like, this is probably my favorite MCU thing, period.
Nice.
Not even just favorite show, but this might be my favorite MCU at all, period. Not the best, but my favorite.
What's the best?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Winter Soldier, maybe?
Oh, Winter Soldier's damn fuck good, but
yeah, that was when we did our ranking. Winter Soldier was my number one of the MCU movies, and as far as just kind of best, favorite versus best is definitely a different thing.
Yes,
but you can. I would say this is probably one of the most satisfying, certainly since WandaVision. I think this is up there with WandaVision and season 1 of Loki, maybe, but I think I like this. I think I like this more than season 1 of Loki. Honestly, I really love this. I will absolutely see this again, and that's a testament to MCU stuff because I usually don't watch it more than once unless Mike Albertin forces me to. So
that's a fair statement.
So you can make an argument. I really love this.
And I do want to remind everybody that most of the Marvel shows are actually available on physical media now.
Yes.
So please do remember that. I actually have my Moon Knight Steel book series coming to me shortly here.
I'm really glad they're doing that because they already showed with Willow they don't have any problems just getting rid of stuff. So I'm glad that it's being published physically for people there who want it.
Yeah.
That makes me happy because it's not a good place when it's only digital and then nobody can find it again and you can't back it up if it was out. Like, it's just yeah, it needs to at least be published once physical because we can't trust corporations.
Nope, sure the hell can't.
So there's multiple shows and movies that are lost. That's a whole nother conversation, but yeah, this sucks. So
I would like to throw out a special thank you to the people at Sloppy Second Sales for making sure that such things get preserved in a less expensive format. So
that is a name.
I'm wearing their t-shirt right now. They're the best place to go when you want something on Netflix that they're never going to put on physical media.
Ooh, shots fired.
Yep.
Well, he's not wrong.
He is not wrong.
Also, before we go, I want to make sure that I get this in here. Jeremy Slater did a great job on this show, right? We can all agree that he ran a good show.
Yeah.
Yes, I would agree.
You know what else Jeremy Slater did?
What?
Jeremy Slater did the live-action Death Note movie, and god damn it, we're going to do it.
Oh, but that movie
I watched the movie once.
sucks.
I will do it. It's on the list of recommendations, but they messed up my girl. I didn't get my goth girl I wanted.
No, they didn't. I got a whole thing about that.
Oh, okay. So
I have a huge crush on Misha Misa, so in that anime. Whew.
Yes, still got Misa Misa. Don't worry about it. I promise you, the anime is still the same.
I know, but I wanted to see the blonde live action. I've seen a cosplayer that did it, and I'm like, I want that in the show. Why can't I have that? But
They have Japanese live action movies that, yeah, you can get that.
It. You son of a bitch, I'm in. And Bill, where can people find you at?
I can be located at a Gamer Looks at 40 podcast. It is a show that takes nostalgic romps through the fields of your memories. How's that sound? I'm really struggling. How many times have I said this over the years now? Like 100, 100? I don't know.
I say
Anyway,
the same thing every episode.
I know. I just try to keep it fresh and fun. Yeah, it's a podcast where I myself and a number of guests talk about a particular game, series, or franchise or topic. And any episode of the main podcast can have up to I think my last one for Final Fantasy VI had 15 different people on it. It's just slowly climbing the amount of people that are taking their time out to hang with me on the show and talk about the games they love and why they love them. So if you dig retro games and you listen to this show, so surely you do, check out A Gamer Looks at 40 on your pod player of choice.
All right, and Zach.
Yeah, you can find me and my co-host George going through the MCU movies and ranking them at absolutelythebest.net is a easy one to throw out there, but the name of the show again is Absolutely the Best Podcast, a work in progress. You can pretty much find that in any podcast app.
And you'll see a link in the show notes of both of those gentlemen's shows. So definitely go check them out. And
I'm
if you
not
want,
a gentleman. I'm not a gentleman.
Oh. But it sounds good.
Sorry.
If you want to support, so we do have Patreon for a little dollar. You can vote in our Patreon poll. You'll see a link in the show notes. And want to give a shout out to my awesome intro and outro courtesy of Elena at Hellhaster. You can follow her on TikTok, Twitch, and Instagram. And oh yeah, please join our Discord. We have a link in the show notes. And please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, Blue Sky, TikTok. I make videos sometimes. And YouTube, audio only, but you can find us on all those things. And rate and review us wherever you get your podcast. I think that's everything I need to say. So we will see you guys all next time. Bye, everybody.
So long.
Later, Gators.